Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Sheffield DM. For those who don't know me, I'm a new face here. I'm Giorgio, Head of Marketing at Evoluted, who are the lovely sponsors and organisers of Sheffield DM. So this is the second event in our brand new series of fortnightly lunch and learn sessions. They're designed to be kind of quick, 30-minute, bite-sized chunks of marketing know-how, something you can chuck on in the background during your lunch break and sit down and enjoy. This week, we are joined by the fabulous Collette Evans, who is the owner and founder of Picture Perfect Photography in Barnsley, who'll be talking about the importance of product photography in your marketing campaigns and sharing a bunch of really cool tips and tricks on how to make your images pop. Collette is British Photography Award Shortlisted for 2020 and 2021, and has been a professional photographer since 2002, with experience across commercial, product and fitness sectors, to name a few. So a really great guest to have today. Welcome, Collette.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Are you getting a reverb on this, Giorgio?
I'm not, no, you're fine.
Okay, just checking. Really excited to be here, and hopefully we're going to share some knowledge that people can take away and find useful.
Brilliant stuff. I know we're having a quick, brief look through your presentation yesterday. There's going to be some exciting stuff coming up, so I won't talk for much longer. For the audience, if you have any questions for Collette, you can ask away in the live chat. And as usual, the recording of this event will be available afterwards on YouTube, and we'll share it all around. So without further ado, Collette, I shall hand everything over to you and see you on the other side.
Brilliant. Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for attending today. As was mentioned, we're going to talk about 5 tips to impress with product photography in your campaigns. So the focus of marketing campaigns is rarely narrowed down to the role of photography. However, today I'm going to share with you my tips on how to wow your clients and plan for a successful shoot day. So a little bit about what we're going to cover. So a little bit more about myself. Planning and adding value for your clients, connecting to your audience, how to use colour to influence people, ensuring a productive shoot day, and the magic of post-production. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end. I'll not be rushing off. So please feel free to ask if you've got anything you want to know. So as mentioned, I'm a shortlisted British Photography Awards winner in 2020 and 2021. It's nice this year because I was shortlisted for the Product Photography Award, and I've been running Picture Perfect Photography since 2012. So we're almost in year 9 now, which is really exciting. The business is growing rapidly. I can't keep up. I think for me, I love helping businesses and agencies make a transformation to their business brand and their client's image. I'm sat here right now in my studio in Hague in Barnsley, just off junction 38 of the M1. But also I do travel far and wide all over the UK, and I've also been lucky enough to shoot in New York. And lots of experience across lots of different sectors, having done this for so long, working with different size of clients, people like Aldi, my dentist, Smithies, Vodafone, to name a few, but then also your local independent companies as well. Recently quoting for ASOS and X-Rocker Gaming, who you may recognise. So enough about me then. I want to talk to you about the big opportunity that has been really present throughout the whole lockdown and COVID situation. Everybody's online now, so creating standout campaigns has never been more important. Now everything is online and everyone's eyes are on the screens. The marketplace is very crowded, as you will know, and there is a lot of noise. So the question is, how can you make your clients stand out? Well, I do believe, and I know I'm biased, images are key ingredient to capturing the attention of the audience and also representing an overall brand image. So let's take another look at that then. So like I said, now is a big opportunity to create standout campaigns for your clients. And there's perhaps maybe 5, we can narrow it down to 5 key elements that comes into play here. So your clients always have some sort of vision in mind. And I think it's important to think about how images form a part of your overall strategy and how they will add value to the viewer. Think about what the narrative of the images will have. Images can set a subliminal tone, definitely. So it's important that you get the right fit across the brand that you are working for. So making that vision accessible, planning and strategic thinking is really, really essential, I do believe, and I live by this. The second thing we could look at is clearly articulating the brand value to their audience, creating a trusted reputation, reputable brand positioning, and building trust with visuals and images. So number 3 then would be, how can you think outside the box and away from what is expected of the audience? So great images present value for their client and their audience. So extreme marketing messaging is a term that's often thrown around, but what does this mean? So we can expand your network with shareable images that are engaging and get attention. But another tip would be to ensure your photographer names your files with SEO optimized terms so Google picks that up as well. So save your time with no reshoots and coming out on deadline with clients with an efficient photography service. So you may be looking for a little bit of inspiration, perhaps. From speaking with many agencies and businesses, I know sometimes they do struggle to come up with new ideas and fresh perspectives for photography that will make them stand out. And this is where we come in at Picture Perfect. It's often good to consult, obviously, with an expert, and why not book a call with us to see how we can help you with your current campaign. There's a QR code there to book a call in directly where we can help you strategize on campaign visuals, combine logical thinking with a creative element, advise on the types of photos that are going to really wow your clients. We want to make you look good to your clients and then essentially to their audience, saving your time and just creating a good overall positive campaign. So this will be also towards the end. If you're thinking about it, you're not quite sure, will be worth it. It's free anyway, so you may as well have nothing to lose. So moving on to my first tip then, planning a photo shoot. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to plan beforehand. So when doing this, the key things for me are that you ensure there's always a story and a purpose to what's being captured. It's no good just creating pretty pictures and hoping they're going to cut the mustard. So let's take a little look how we can actually do this. So I think an image is more than just an image. It's a visual representation of the brand. And if we stop and think logically about what you are trying to achieve and then get creative with the solution, then the end result will be much, much better. And you will probably end up coming out with something that's really different to your competitors and really stands out. So it's all about planning and executing with intention, essentially. So when starting to plan, ask yourself and your team, your client, this one basic question I have for you. How do you want the brand or the campaign to be perceived? Because essentially that is all that matters. It's really important that we get that messaging right from the off. And an image, I think, obviously we do say it paints 1,000 words. So someone's going to make an assumption on that brand or that product, essentially from a few milliseconds of viewing that image. So it's important that we get it right. So my tips for a successful photo shoot, I've got 6 noted down here. There are probably more, but this is my top 6. So asking the right questions before commissioning a creative or a photographer so you can have some sense of direction. I think it's then essential that the photographer asks those questions as well, and we work together as a collaborative team. Number 2 then would be planning a relatable campaign with photos. So for instance, on this image here that I've got on screen, it's relatable to the audience because she's of the demographic of the target market. She's doing something, she's outside, she's got a lifestyle that relates back. Number 3 then, what kind of photos would your client's audience relate to? So emphasize this. That's kind of going over the second point there. I got ahead of myself. Number 4, what do your clients customers value the most. If this is lifestyle references, I know like pets and dogs weirdly always do really well. So if they're pet lovers, horse lovers, car lovers, whatever it is, make sure we possibly think about including them. Number 5, what are your clients' expectations? And are they clear? Do they have a vision of what they want you to do, or do they want to take the lead, or do they want to come together with different ideas? Number 6, how will your campaign photos create a satisfying user experience? Keep them on the web page, keep them visiting your social media, and what does the audience expect to see from the brand? So again, this image, she's smiling and she looks like she's having fun time, which creates a positive brand perception. The value for the customer here, I think, is that they can clearly see the product and gain outfit inspiration, see the style matching and what to put together. This may also lead to upsells and cross-selling. So a logical and detailed plan will always allow more time for creative freedom later on during the photo shoot. So let's take a look on actually how to execute this and how to do it. So in my opinion, it's always good and almost essential to compile a shot list on a spreadsheet before the photo shoot with style references, angles required, variations required. The more detail, the better. I think this frees up everyone's headspace on the day for creative freedom and creates a relaxed and on-set environment, which I think is essential for the enjoyment of the photo shoot and also just general smooth running of the day. If everyone starts out feeling like they know what they're doing, then it's going to run a lot better. So as I mentioned, planning is essential, and this is what I would recommend considering. What products or services do your customers offer? So we recommend showing your product in a real life situation and also on a plain background for e-commerce at a minimum. Also consider the number of images that appear on your website's shop page. These always need to be kept simple. Consistency is key here, and colour balanced at a minimum, just so you're not making the viewer work harder to scroll through that e-commerce site. What does the product or service offer, and where are the campaign photos going? Do you need different orientations of this for different platforms? And also, do we need to leave room for text, branding, graphics, other overlays of product shots? So I think this really needs to be considered when communicating with the photographer before the photo shoot day, and then no one's got any surprises, and also checked while you're on set as well. So if you already have some predetermined graphics where the image is going to be laid underneath, it's really good to show the photographer and send them the digital file. Then this can be overlaid on the day on set in the software. This can sometimes be the make or break between a shoot being a success, ensuring there's no reshoots and hitting deadlines, and essentially giving you a happy client. The images always must be fit for purpose and on brief. I think that's really essential, because if you're taking pictures with the wrong orientation, essentially they're not going to be fit for where they're meant to go. So the next one is then, what is the main aim of the campaign, the message, the positioning? Also, would this be used perhaps in different countries? And do we need to consider cultural references and different cultural references? Because different audiences will expect to see different things. So I think thinking outside the box, how could you surprise and shock your audience, keep them guessing? And then the last one is, what's the client's brand communication style? So think about what tone is appropriate. This can often be subliminal and be communicated with poses, props, colour, mood. There's quite a lot on there to consider, I'm aware of that, but this all goes in there, and once we've got that in, we are going to be good to go. So once you've planned the purpose and the style, then it's time to look at logistics, and this is where it really comes in and is important for success. So one thing that always gets overlooked, in my opinion, is travel time, things like hair and makeup time for models. And when working with clients, I always advise that they need to come up with a plan with me to try and maximise everyone's time and schedule things like this in. And then we're not running out of time at the end of the day because we spent time travelling from place to place. So just moving on to the value then. So in my opinion, when it comes to communicating a message, there are key things and 3 types of photos that we could create for a campaign. So practical, show how the customer would use the product, access the service, or show its purpose. Very, very simple and very plain and straightforward. The second one then is entertaining. Nobody wants the product or brand to be seen as bland and boring. They want it to be exciting and looks exciting to be a part of. So photos shouldn't have a linear look or narrative. The aim here is to keep the audience guessing and engaged. So the third one then, instill ethics through your brand message with photos, lighting, background props. I think by carefully choosing these elements, you can give messages that reflect the brand and keep users engaged. And also looking at the second tip then, which leads in nicely, connecting. So I'm sure you agree with me when I'm saying that one of the biggest challenges that you can face when doing a new campaign, especially a launch campaign, is making your audience feel connected with a brand. So let me talk about next the way we can connect using colour with images to attract the audience's attention and make them feel emotionally connected to a brand. And I think this is very, very interesting. So here we go then. So don't just create impressions, create connections. When I'm taking photos, I do like to think about the colours on the image, not only to match branding, but also to create emotional connection. You can take a look at the colour wheel of emotion here and see an example of this. So showing functionality with creative concepts, for example, like water droplets to showcase a waterproof functionality. Use elements of humour, joy, trust, and the wheel of emotions there. You can Google that as well if you need to have a closer look at that. So you can take a look at that, and then have a look at also what desired emotion will connect and resonate with the end user. And for the product or the brand's ideal target market, for example, I've just dropped one of my images in there of a lipstick. I think that really does make the product look very different. You'll notice the colours relate to the emotion too. So we can use these elements in the campaign photos through background props, lighting, and mood to influence the emotional connection and the viewer's buying decision, essentially. And we're going to do a little bit more about this later on. But I think it's really interesting, the psychology of colours and the effect it can have on people. And I think it would be interesting, actually, if we put that lipstick shot out there, which one would do better in the ad. If anyone wants to test that, feel free. So emotional connections then. For example, this image here that we took on location for a clothing brand, it's got a bit of a sense of optimism and joy. She's smiling, so it's telling you that, you know, life is going well. She's happy wearing the clothes. Joy can help connect sparks of creativity, reach out with positivity, and give good energy around the brand. So it's important how we pose and how we present a person and a product when taking a photo. So how do we connect using visuals? I think there's 3 sort of key elements here. So people do relate to people. So we're going to talk about that first. Even down to the poses, the attitudes that we sort of present on an image and the way the person stands, it invites people in. But we need to make sure that's in line with your customer's target market. This includes the model that you choose as well. If we've got someone who has a target market of women in their 50s, it'd be no good using the model shown on screen here. So the second one then, moving with the market. So photos showing current lifestyle trends, for example, it wouldn't be appropriate right now to show a gym full of people for a gym chain because it's just not relevant. So it's important to capture a variety of images and to be forward thinking about external influences when planning campaign images. I think by doing this and creating a backup set of images that can pivot quickly will cause less stress and expense on you and your client in the long term, especially at the moment with what's going on in the world and which is out of our control. So the last and third way to connect with visuals would be to relate to customer beliefs. So for example, this photo here that I took for a client, it has natural ingredients in there. So we included this in the images. We kept the background quite natural throughout the shoot and the colours quite muted. So let's just have another look at colour then. I spoke earlier about colour and emotion. So let's have a look how we can influence people with colour. Something I always live by when matching up colours in a shoot and using multiple colours in coloured lighting would be the opposites attract rule. So I would reference the colour wheel here and perhaps pick a purple and then match it with a green. Say if the product was purple, I might contrast it with a green or a blue in this spectrum here. It can be a really nice complementary way to make the images a little bit more exciting and also just make it stand out and look a little bit more creative. So here are some examples of how we can actually influence how customers feel when they see images and brand campaigns. So for example, yellow can create feelings of optimism and happiness. Advertising, you may start noticing this now, you may know already. So orange is associated with warmth and impulse buys, which is why we often get orange buttons on e-commerce sites. Perhaps it's an ethical brand. The colour green is associated with health and tranquility, nature. And then trusted corporate and professional brands do tend to use the colour blue quite often to represent trust and calm the mind. Ironically, I'm wearing blue today. You'll see salespeople wear blue a lot as well. Just a heads up there. So moving on to my tip number 4 then, I'm going to tell you my secrets to a successful shoot day. So this is 19 years worth of secrets here in one slide. So wish me luck. So looking at an effective and productive shoot day, what does that look like? So I think there's 4 key elements here. Planning, direction, expertise, and efficiency. I always think that it should be a collaborative relationship that brings the best results for your client. So looking at that then, just a quick checklist here, and I'll just quickly run through them all. So booking a pre-shoot phone call with your team, your photographer and your client, I think is hugely beneficial. Then everyone has a plan and a direction and is all on the same page. Consider how you will organise sets, backgrounds and locations, and as mentioned earlier, the travel time between those if we need to do that, and also any preparation that needs to go into any sets. Creating a shoot list and groups of shoots and products by sets, angles and product size, and any variants that are needed, I think is essential. And speaking to your photographer to communicate the shoot list on themes, they can advise which would be the best order to put things in. Perhaps they need to change lenses, cameras, lighting, things like that. So it's a collaborative relationship again to make sure that it runs really smooth and we're creating optimum results in the best time possible while still maintaining quality. So mood boards, sharing these before the shoot and bringing them to the shoot as well. Often sticking them up on the wall is really, really useful so we don't forget where we're actually heading to. It's often easy to get distracted, especially as a creative, and go off sort of brief, but having that physical reminder there can be really useful. And lastly, the most important thing is keeping refreshments on set and keeping your clients and the models happy. So someone that's fed and watered will always perform better, in my opinion. So my final tip is going to cover maximising magical post-production techniques and how this can be used, basically. I'll not say any more than that. So as you can see, this image here has some post-production in it, but it's not too in your face that it looks fake. As a professional photographer, adding finesse to the photos can be the icing on the cake. It's okay, obviously, to capture basic assets required on a white background for e-commerce. This will always serve a purpose and just give a basic idea of what the product looks like. But at the end of the day, who wants basic? So especially, we're in a digital space and it's very crowded, as mentioned earlier on. So you want winning images that are basically going to work hard for you, hard for your clients, and hard for your campaign and your adverts. So I'm just going to run through how you could edit and work with a post-production team like ourselves to wow your clients. Using CGI and creative retouch can sometimes be the make or break. So let's just take a little look. So bringing more than just an image, here are some examples of some images that I took. So just to run through here, we've got the raw images on the left-hand side here. And then just dropping a background in, I think instantly transforms it, takes away the clutter. So these would be an e-commerce or an ad image. And then lastly here in the snow globe, we brought all the elements together. We put some stock images in there, worked with our post-production team, and then there you go. We've got a brand ad or a Facebook ad or a leader page image for a brochure in there, and all of a sudden it's transformed, it's engaging, and it looks a little bit different. It also shows a group of what can be offered from this company. Now, let's just have a look over the page to this Estee Lauder image here. We can see here that it's got a drip in there. Now, would you actually believe this is actually CGI? I photographed this. I was about to throw it in the bin, actually, and I just wanted to create a little challenge for myself. So I photographed an empty bottle that was going to be thrown in the bin. I photographed it on a white background, and as you can see here, the results are amazing. This is all CGI. We placed the shelf in there, and we also placed the CGI drip in there as well. So I think that's a real good example how you can take basic assets and present them differently for different results and different effects. So my sort of thought here would be, when speaking with your photographer, I'd always question, can you push the visuals that you have got and make the basic assets and photos that you have got work harder for you? I think post-production is important and can be a great way of maximising not only older assets, but also saving costs, repurposing. Who doesn't love that? And also using new and basic photo assets in multiple different ways to show them in different lights. So a little bonus from me then, how can we as Picture Perfect add value to your marketing campaigns? A lot of people don't realise this, but you can actually improve your Google ranking with images. So here's how we can help save you time and add value. So SEO, file naming and optimisation. We actually do all this in-house on set. And we have the facility to name the file names with the product descriptions and keywords related to the business to help the product get found online. So some examples here of unoptimized and optimized image file names. This will save your team as an agency time afterwards. I've been told this is one of our USPs, and people do really love this to what we do. So how else can we add value for you, and what should you expect from your professional photographer? So when considering a photographer, I would consider the following points. So looking at their portfolio, can they adapt to your vision? And is their portfolio showing that vision? Do they have different styles of work as well? Number 2 is creative. Will they be able to suggest their own ideas as well as integrate with your own and your clients? Number 3 is communication. I think it's important that you have good, clear communication and also transparency between all parties. The 4th is quality. Do they have consistent evidence that they can show that they can produce quality on a consistent basis? The 5th tip to look out for, I think, would be experience. Looking for a broad range of proven track record of commercial campaigns that they've produced in the past, and also looking at their testimonials. Number 6, ask them how they have in the past got around never missing a deadline. So we actually have a team that we work with in-house. So we're a team of small but flexible team, which means we can deliver quality and quantity quickly. Ask them how flexible it can be. Paint a scenario for them that something either changes or where they need to adapt. I think this is really important of how they would react because they need to be adaptable to any situation. Number 8 then, do they understand your vision and what your team and your client wants and what you're trying to achieve? Can they articulate that and add to it as well? And then the last one, number 9, is longevity. My aim would be, if I was someone choosing a photographer, to create a long-lasting relationship with a photography studio. So it makes it seamless for future campaigns and you're all on the same page and that communication is always good. They know people in your team, they know people in theirs, and it's just a lot easier and a lot smoother. So working with us on your client's campaign photography, we're all busy people, and so it's important that you can relax, and when it comes to creating photos, know it's all in hand. I think that sort of trust with your chosen photographer is really important, and this is what you can expect when working with Picture Perfect. So delivering glowing campaign images with ease is what we do, and we do it consistently. So we do get to know our clients' brands for consistent results. As mentioned, we have a photography studio, which is always available. That's ours and solely ours. We don't rent it out. We also hold creative visual meetings with people, especially if they're on our subscription service on retainer. We like to touch base with them at least every quarter, if not more often if needed, to help form a brand and see how we can help them and see where the brand's going, which essentially saves time on communication when it comes to actually shooting the images. So as mentioned earlier, I would love to speak to you all about anything we could help you with in terms of creative inspiration for a campaign. The QR code is there again if you want to scan that to book a call in with me. I do really love getting creative with concepts, and you never know, this could be your ticket to making your clients the happiest they've ever been with their images. So I'd love to run through how we can help strategize and bring logical thinking with creative, and how we can basically help wow your clients and save you time and make you look good. So my details are on the next slide. So if you need to scan that QR code, now is your time. So here we go. So details and any questions. I'd love to give you the creative edge on your campaigns, make you and your clients the very best that you can be. If anyone's got any questions now, I'm happy to stick around a little bit longer.
Amazing. Thanks, Collette. That was really insightful.
No worries.
We have had a question come through, actually, which is really nice. Thanks, Dec. Dec's our head of SEO at Evoluted. It's nice to see the team tuning in. And image is something that we value really highly at Evoluted, across all of the different digital campaigns we run. You mentioned SEO briefly. We do a lot of stuff across social media advertising as well, which is images is crucial to making your campaigns pop. But Dec has asked, what is the best way to demonstrate the benefits of improving product imagery to a client who may think their current images are fine, even if they're terrible, but they maybe don't see it that way?
Yes, this is something I get brought up a lot. I suppose, do you know what? If it was me, and if you guys are in this issue, I'd say send me one of their products and I will show them. I'll do them a sample. That the only way is to show them, and then show them, do a test. I've had this before where clients have took photos on the phone, listed it on their e-commerce shop, and then instantly replace it with mine. And I saw one client have a 166% increase in sales just from swapping the images. So stats don't lie.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah, but I think the stats don't lie, do they? So I think it's getting the client to buy in, perhaps, to just buying into that, and they're either going to be open to it or they're not. But just trying to describe it in the best way possible and get them excited about some ideas, I suppose, as well.
Totally. I think giving them some examples and encouraging them to kind of do the test and see the results for themselves is a really great way to get them on side about potentially expanding the much wider range of product images that they've got.
Yeah, definitely. Just getting them to see the vision, I think. Sometimes people, especially if they're not so creative, they can't see the vision of how this would work and how it's going to make a difference. So I think if you get them excited, get a couple of mood boards together, and that's where working with someone like myself could come in, and just really showing them what is possible and what could be, because everybody wants to be better. No matter what business you've got, I think you always want to be better and ahead of your competitors as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
We've just had another question, I think, as well.
We have indeed. So that's from Carl. Thank you very much for the question. Thanks for the info. Business photography is not something I've had a lot of experience with. Is it pay for time and get unlimited licensing rights over the images?
Yeah, so we provide a commercial license worldwide, and it depends on obviously the client and what they want to use it for and other partners involved, but we always discuss that up front. But usually what we do is we have a charge per hour, and then basically the client gets all the images that they need from that. And I think a client should always have the choice of using, is it this one or this one? It's similar, but in the end they get to decide when they sit down with it properly. For instance, like if they need images that are have space to the left-hand side and to the right-hand side, and we take it both ways, they may not know at the point of me supplying the images which one they need, or they may need to use both. So I think they need to get a choice, and then it can be adaptable to what they're trying to achieve.
Brilliant. And in terms of licensing, have you ever come across photographers who potentially like to keep hold of the licensing rights for their images, even if a client's paid for them?
Well, obviously I don't sort of deal with that side with other photographers, but yeah, I think it is more of a person, like a B2C thing, to be honest. In my experience, B2B, not so much. It's kind of pay for the shoot time. Sometimes the editing's charged separately with some people, but we include it. I just like to keep it clean cut. But yeah, I think just giving people everything is just better, and it's, yeah, you're not I feel like I'd be holding things back from the customer if not.
Cool. I've got one more question for you, and this is one from me, and something I think comes up quite a lot probably. Do you have any tips for people on how they would go about finding great models for their product shoots, great locations? Is that something you can rely on your photographer to help you with, or is it something that you should come armed with a brief?
Oh, 100% you can rely on me anyway, at least. I don't know about other photographers, but I've had a lot of experience with working with modelling agencies and locations. I think it's perhaps a collaborative thing, but I would probably start off by saying, okay, so I would shortlist some models from an agency. For example, J'adore in Manchester, they often send like a selection through their website. You'll go to them with a brief, this is the kind of thing we're trying to achieve, and they'll send some of their models over as a suggestion, and then we can narrow it down from there. And I think then it's between myself, the agency, the client to decide who's going to be the best fit, and potentially get them in for a model casting as well, because you don't always know until you put, for example, if it's clothing, especially if we've got video elements in there as well. You don't know how they move. So it's good to actually get them in the actual product and see how it fits. And I think, yeah, it's a collaborative thing, but I think it should start with the photographer unless the agency has a suggestion.
Cool. How much normally gets added on as a premium for hiring models like that? I imagine it's very different per agency, but should you budget a certain percentage increase?
So modeling agencies do vary. Like there is a few more premium ones and a few that are a bit more budget friendly, should we say? But I'd say as a ballpark figure, you probably for one model, you're probably looking around $250 for half a day, something like that. It depends, and it depends how far they're going to have to travel and expenses and things like that. So, but I always help advise as much as possible as a ballpark, and then just say that is rough. And then once we've actually got the model narrowed down to maybe a selection of 2 or 3, then we can actually ask for specific costs.
Amazing. Yeah, I think. I would always rely on the professional to kind of help connect you with the right type of agency, the right models, suggest the right kind of people that you want, and then find someone that fits at the pricing point that suits your budget, right?
And I think also it's important before you go to an agency, that's where the planning that I've been speaking about comes in. Just so that we go to them with a brief. Because it's like some people sometimes come to me like, I just need photos, but that's not really going to give me much direction, and anything is possible. So you need to have sort of a checklist, really. I suppose almost like if you were dating or something, I don't know, like this is what I like and this is what we're kind of looking for, but also looking towards target markets and who would relate, and going back to all basically what I've said. It does help, then you find the right person.
Amazing stuff. Thank you ever so much. In particular, for me, this has been absolutely brilliant. I mentioned to you during our kind of pre-chat yesterday that I am absolutely not a creatively minded person. I'm very logical and process oriented. So seeing you talk about how to approach photography and kind of product imagery from a logical and operational perspective is perfect for someone with a brain like mine.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there is an element or a lot of elements of logic involved in a successful photo shoot as well. To me, it's like I'm very methodical in the way I approach it, but then the creative comes at the end, and it does allow me to free up my mind creatively. If I know we're definitely heading in the right direction, then I can run with it. I can run with the brief once I've got all the information down, if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah. I'm 100% behind that.
Cool. Okay. Do you want me to just flick back? I'm just going to flick back for that that previous slide, just in case I know I got that QR code.
Go for it.
Just so they've got it there. So that's been up for quite a while. So there we go. So if anyone wants to scan that and book in, yeah, feel free. I love creating new ideas for people. So yeah.
Amazing. I'll leave that up for a moment while we round things up, but thank you ever so much again, Collette. And as always, thank you massively to everybody who's tuned in and joined us today. Our next event is going to be coming up again in a couple of weeks' time on the 4th of March, starting again at 12:30. And next time we've got Billy Hyde, who is works as an SEO executive at Sheffield-based SEO Works, and she's going to be talking all about how marketers, and in particular SEOs, can build strong relationships with their development teams to help get work done efficiently and effectively. Something that I think is really, really important for both in-house and agency-led marketing teams. The Eventbrite link will be going live soon as usual, and we'll share it all around via Twitter and email, as well as a link to the recording of this session, which will be available on YouTube indefinitely. Again, if you've enjoyed Sheffield DM, please do go and follow us on Twitter at Sheffield DM, or you can pop over to sheffielddm.co.uk and join the mailing list, and that way you'll get notified about all the future events and things that we've got running. We are starting to plan our next big virtual conference. We ran our last one in August 2020. The next one we're looking to run in April this year. So if you are interested in getting involved with that as a speaker or as a sponsor, please do reach out and get in touch. Similarly, if you want to come and do another Sheffield DM Lunch and Learn, reach out to me on Twitter at Giorgio Casella, email hello@sheffielddm.co.uk, or reach out through any of our other social channels. Really excited to get some new voices involved with Sheffield DM. So if you're watching or you know someone who is keen to get on the speaker circuit, send them my way. Otherwise,
I'll definitely put the word out as well for you.
Amazing stuff. Thank you. Otherwise, we've reached the end of the session. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you all next time. Thanks, Collette.
Thank you.